Welcome to Entrepreneurial Entrails for some short stories on the guts and glories of being an entrepreneur.
Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason.
Hey, it's Elizabeth with Entrepreneurial Entrails. I appear to be tongue-tied again today, and I hope everything's well with you. Today's topic is about what drives your grind. And a couple of years ago, I was listening to a podcast by Darren Hardy. Darren Harding is somebody I went to high school with. Darren Hardy, and he was the editor-in-chief of Success Magazine. It was a magazine that he had started specifically for business owners, entrepreneurs, and it's a fantastic resource because it brings together sort of the best of the industry as far as leadership and mentorship, and profiles some really interesting people in their business stories. And what he was talking about that day was what it took for those people to basically get on the cover, what it took for them to get to the point of success where they didn't have to worry about, money anymore, and they'd made their name and what have you. And he talked about the grind. And one of the specific examples that he gave was how when he's on the road, he can be traveling any number of hours. He can then deliver certain number of speeches and talks, depending on, workshops, whatever he's delivering, might not be done until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but he still gets back to his room and he still pulls out, creates his blog post or his article, whatever he needs. He'll record some files for the audio CD that comes with the Success Magazine. And that was basically his point, was that if you want to get to that level of success where you're on the cover of Success, where you don't have to worry about it anymore, a major part of that is how hard you're willing to grind. How hard are you willing, are you willing to give up weekends and time with your family? And don't give up sleep. Arianna Huffington, fantastic article that I'm reading right now, all about sleep. Don't give that up. But are you willing to get up that extra hour early? Are you willing to give up going out with, friends a couple of times a week or what have you? From my perspective, try not to sacrifice time with family because, you never get that back, but sacrificing time shopping or whatever. Actually, I'm not a big shopper, so whatever you want to sacrifice to make it happen. So I have been off and on with that. I tend to probably minimize what I put in as the grind. Although my husband, who's a fantastic supporter, assures me that I'm definitely putting the time in necessary. What I'm interested in this week, as far as the grind, is what drives your grind. Is it simply the passion that you have for your business? I'm very passionate about creating materials that will help small business owners and entrepreneurs use social media and communications effectively, not use it as a tool for rescue when they've ignored it and now their leads have dried up or their online profile is such that nobody can find them. I want them to understand the importance of including that in their business plan up front. So that's what I work on. I work on that passion so that I can find the right tools to teach somebody. There is no point for any communications professional to create a one-size-fits-all. It just doesn't work that way. I was an instructor for 2 years, and one of the things that drove my grind when I was an instructor was making sure that my students, and I was teaching medical office administration, so this was anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, which I'm sure I've mentioned before. But what drove my grind, what kept me up at night, what kept me going, was making sure that every single student had what they needed to succeed. So I would create study aids, I would create testing things, all kinds of stuff. That drove my grind, making them successful. And it drives me now. Nothing better than, I sat down with a client and we worked together for 4 months, got her stuff organized. She's a really decent writer. And she ended up giving me a great compliment, which again, I may have mentioned before as well, that she got more out of 4 months of me working side by side with her and giving her the tools and tips and encouragement and editing comments than she got out of working with a really expensive business coach for a year and a half. And I loved that. That's totally my jam. I want to make sure that somebody gets amazing value out of that and has actionable items and understands what I'm saying to them. And, you know, I worked with somebody for a year and a half, and it took them a year and a half to let me know that sometimes when I was speaking to them, they didn't understand what I was saying. And I didn't know what to say to that other than, well, why didn't you just ask me? You know, if you don't understand what I'm saying to you, then obviously I'm not communicating effectively, or I'm using terminology that isn't working for you, or what have you. No judgment on that. You know, we've all got I read like a crazy person, so my vocabulary and reach of knowledge is a little odder than most. And I forget that somebody standing in front of me doesn't have the same experience or education or what have you. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. But what I do mean is that it really is necessary for me to remember that. So now when I'm teaching somebody, when I'm working with a client, I'll say to them, do you understand what I mean? And I will clarify and say, I'm not worried about your ability to understand, your intelligence, nothing like that is in question. What I worry about is my ability to communicate with you effectively, so that I'm using, you know, whatever knowledge base you have to make sure that you're understanding what we're doing here. And for the most part, I think it's appreciated because, again, it drives my grind. It's what I try and do. I evaluate what I'm doing, evaluate the tools that I'm creating to make sure that people are getting value. And so what came up, two things came up this week for me. And one was, okay, we talked about that, the passion for your grind. But the other is your grind ever motivated by guilt? And mine's motivated by guilt a little bit right now. My husband works his ass off. He works 3 jobs. He works as a millwright. He works, he's also an electrical apprentice. So he works for a job for that to get his hours for his apprenticeship. And if you're in the Toronto area, he also hangs the banners and flags that you see along Yonge Street and throughout Toronto for the shows and sports events and what have you. And he seems to thrive off it, but part of it right now is necessity. You know, part of it right now is I'm looking for help for my business and getting stuff moving more so that there's a steadier stream of income. And so guilt is really a driver for me right now. I want to make life easier for him. I want to make it better for my family, be able to take our family on vacations, you know, grab my mom up and throw everybody in the car with the dogs and off we go. And so I've done something, and I've done this because of a business coach that I had a couple of years ago. And when we first met, his suggestion to me was, Elizabeth, didn't know me very well, you need to do something big. You need to take a huge step out of your comfort zone so that it makes a big impact. And, you know, we were talking about preparing me to be an employee again and how I was going to make that happen. And kept going on and on about making a big step. And I sat back and I said, okay, Peter, I said, you don't know me very well. I said, but the fact that you and I are sitting down and talking, the fact that I sat down and hired a coach, that is a huge step for me. Asking for help is a huge step for me. So this is it right now. This is as big as it gets. And he processed that, which was fantastic. And I'm doing it again. Based on that conversation, I'm reaching out now, to for help to trusted colleagues and peers and friends. And I got to tell you, it's kind of freeing. It's helping with the guilt. I feel more energized about the grind because now I know, you know, I've reached out to my team that are going to help me make the grind worth it. Or they're going to give me honest evaluation and say, you know what? It's just not going to work. And here's what we suggest for you for short term. And I'll welcome that with open arms. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're getting through your grind and you're a bit stuck and things aren't going quite as well as you'd hoped, here's my suggestion to you. Suck it in, suck it up, ask for help. Find trusted people that you know, that you value, their education and experience to give you honest and productive feedback on what you're doing and what you could be doing better, whatever, and get it. And I honestly guarantee you, from my perspective anyway, that if you've lost your mojo, if it's gone a little sideways because the grind is just getting too much, it will really help you bring it back online. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope your grind is going well. Look forward to seeing some comments about your grind and what you do to keep it going, and who you have in your network of support. What's your big step maybe that you're going to take to keep and get on track. And that's it. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.